Well, here we are again. It's Thursday, August 22nd. I was trying to remember that, but I looked at the screen and there it is. So Justin's he's too smart for me, which is not too difficult these days. This is podcast number 42, and it's been a while. I wasn't even sure the last time we had one, but I'm guessing it was before our tournament, so I'm going to guess it was early July. Justin should know that, but maybe he's not smart after all.
The last one was Shane and it was Dennis, right? Yeah, Shane and Dennis, star 35.
Okay.
Before that.
Yeah, okay. A couple of things. We're going to go over a few things. I just want to touch on one thing, and it's Larry Hubbard, who was one of the founders of the APA, passed away today. I didn't really know Larry that well. I heard a lot of stories about him. He's a pretty stand-up guy. People always think, oh, Mark Griffin, you hate the APA. No, I just don't like a few things they do. But Larry Hubbard was a stand-up guy. His nickname was the Iceman. His style was not to hustle anybody. He would walk into the city, town, pool hall and say, my name's Larry, and who wants to play for the cash? He was pretty much a no BS type of guy. Played very good. And running mates with Mike Siegel for years, and many other people. I'm just not that totally familiar with him, but he was I'm guessing early to mid 70s. He'd been quite ill the last few years, and it's the passing of a generation. All the old timers are gone, and those times will never ever come back because the internet and all these other things. But obviously death is inevitable, but I just wanted to pay my respects vocally and let people know. It was posted on AZ Billiards about 5:30, so that's that. So Justin has an announcement. I'll touch on it, but we have a TAR 36 coming up.
Yeah, we got TAR 36 is going to be September. Where are we at?
27th.
27th through the 29th.
Friday through Sunday?
Yep, Friday through Sunday, and it's going to be 10 ball. Format's race to 27, 2 out of 3 sets. The players are going to be Jason Shaw taking on Mike DeShane. So.
Well, they had some little verbal jousting.
Yeah, that's why
5 months ago. It should be.
That's why I made the match, is because those guys have been talking back and forth for a long time, and there's really no love lost between them.
It's true.
So I think it'd be a fun match. Yeah. I'm looking forward to it.
Mike's been in the news a little bit this week. I kind of jumped in the middle of it and decided to sponsor him in the Steinway Classic. But he's, if anybody follows the AZ threads, there's been some tit for tat between him and Mr. Archer and a few others. We've had issues with Mike, but I think he's a pretty stand-up guy all in all. He's still a little young. He's got a little bit of an ego, but he's a pretty good player. And I think a person should be weighed by how they play, not necessarily their political views. And I think a lot of this crap that's going on is just coming from the wrong reasons. So that's why I got involved. But I think it should be a pretty good match. And DeShane can obviously play. He put an 8.5 pack on Johnny Archer 2 years ago in my 10-ball tournament. I think Archer got to hit the cue ball once in a race to 9. So he can obviously play a little bit. So we'll see how it turns out, and there's a lot of things going on. We've got a lot of recaps. A couple of other things. CSI has a Southwest Regional coming up next weekend. That's at Fort McDowell. So that's the Thursday the 29th through August. That's this month, August 29th through September 2nd. And it's bar tables, Fort McDowell, 40 tables. It's a nice little event, usually about 300, 350 people. Scotch doubles, men's, women's teams, singles. I'm actually playing. I have to play in the advanced master section.
Was this the Phoenix one?
Yeah, it's right outside of Phoenix. Yeah. And I promise I'm going to practice for half an hour or so I won't. You know how long it's been since I've hit a ball? Like forever.
Nationals?
Oh, no. Way before that. Balls were flat when I hit them last time.
Mm-hmm.
They had, But that's it's a good little event. U.S. Bar Table Championships going back to Reno. Same place, same time, same place. Everything's Grand Sierra. The last week of February, and it bleeds into the first couple days of March. No reason to get too specific on the dates. It's 25,000 added, 8-ball, 9-ball, 10-ball, men and women's, with all arounds in both. There'll be all kinds of stuff coming, but it's so far away. Probably one of the biggest topics on hand, I would think, would be, I would say the Rio tournament that we had. I mean, it
Well,
was,
that and the fact that between the last podcast and this one, bonus balls died.
well, that's almost not news to me. And you know what I'm saying? Who didn't see that coming? And
Yeah, but it happened.
yeah.
And not only did it happen, but it happened in a pretty shitty fashion.
Well, and that doesn't surprise me either. I think I get to do my little editorial here, non-rehearsed too. I think it's just really piss poor the way that whole thing came down. And I made a post on AZ Billiards, and I stand by it. I've always stood by it. If you start saying things and writing things, you better be able to back them up, or at least know something about what you're talking about. And I think some of the people that pushed so hard for this bonus ball without doing a little bit of research, they led a lot of people into a very bad financial place. And when you start backing things like that, you gotta own a little bit of it.
Yeah, that's my thing. And
yeah.
I made a post, and it was basically, people need to remember.
Oh yeah.
They need to remember who pushed this shit.
Yeah.
And the excuse of at least they tried.
Doesn't
I don't buy that.
Oh no.
I don't
They
buy
didn't
that.
try. They hurt every. I imagine the average player, 36 of them, are owed at least $3,000 per person. So they're over 100,000.
I know one guy that's owed 5 figures.
Yeah. Whoa.
Yeah.
So
And it's for more than.
Yeah, I know who
just-
you're talking about actually.
Yeah, but it's just.
It sucks because they'll try to build this up as a hope, and all it does is just damage this sport so badly. And just the way it came down was so wrong, and they made it personal. You and I asked a lot of questions, never got answers, but we were turned into haters. Oh, you hate the players. I even ran into it in our tournament. I don't hate the players.
Yeah.
I had $60,000 for you
Right,
guys,
yeah.
which that's probably not going to happen again either.
You know what? I don't hate the players. What I hate is I hate people that lie.
Yeah.
They lie. Now, if
Oh,
somebody
yeah.
repeats that lie, yeah, okay, maybe there's some space there. But at the same time, if I'm putting my name on something, I'm doing my due diligence. I'm not going to jump behind and back somebody if
And then say, "Whoa, it's not my fault."
Yeah.
You cannot wash. You got to have clean hands, so to speak. And the whole purpose of the ABP was to guarantee the monies were there.
That was a joke. I'm sorry.
I mean, the whole thing. Well, and that's half the reason why I, again, got involved with the Mike DeShane thing, because it all comes back to there's a clique and there's the people outside the clique.
Well, I'm
You know?
I'm of the point now, like the whole bonus ball thing really soured me a lot on a lot of stuff. And I'm to the point now to where I really don't care too much for, certain people, and I'm not going to, it's like, why am I going to bust my ass to try to give them a payday?
Well,
I'll work with the guys who are, legit. And that don't mean people got to agree with everything I say by any means. I got no problem with people who say, well, look, I don't feel that way, and this is why. But people who just blindly make statements like, "Oh, you hate the players," or "Oh, you're out to screw people over," or shit like that.
they put $2 million into the industry.
Did they? Where'd it
Yeah.
go?
Yeah, I think they paid. I think they put $96,000 into the industry.
Yeah.
We
if
put
anything,
that much in our
yeah,
tournament.
They put some money into B&H and a couple of online stores,
Yeah.
and they put some money into some contractors' pockets. But as far as the money they put in the industry, it wasn't
Well,
that much.
Justin and I really don't talk that much. I mean, you guys are probably rehearsing this on the phone. We see each other about once every 2 weeks, unless we're doing these things. And sometimes we agree, sometimes we disagree. But on my own, I cautioned. I mean, I made plenty of statements that the players and the bonus ball people, they do not understand the damage they're doing to this industry. But it's real simple. I'm almost 67 years old. I'm not going to beat my head against the wall for you guys anymore.
Yeah.
I'm picking who I'm playing with.
Yeah.
And it's, oops, lost the old earpiece. And it's premature to be announcing anything because we don't have another professional event till next July. But there's going to be a lot of changes. And some people are going to be happy and some are going to be unhappy. And in all honesty, I don't care.
Yeah. No.
You burned me up, folks. You just burned me out.
I think, I think whatever you come up with will be a better product.
Yeah.
I mean, I really do.
Can't deal with this, and a lot of I'll blame on the ABP and their selective enforcement of you got to pay, you don't got to pay. I mean, just to call a spade, I mean, half the people know and half the people don't. But the ABP was formed to ensure that the U.S. Open paid, and they were successful the first year. They weren't successful the second year. Now they're getting involved again this year, I guess. But even some of the events that they were ABP points events, did not pay everybody on time. So the hypocrisy is it's stopping. The ABP people, they better decide what they're going to do and what they're not going to do, because a lot of us aren't going to play with them anymore. Enough of that. Let's talk about the reel. The reel was quite a pretty interesting little gizmo. It was I think we had a hell of an event, but boy, did we have some issues.
Yeah, it was. The setup alone was bad, but then between the power outage really put the cherry on top.
But we had we go in as the World Series of Poker ends, and there's unions involved, and somebody dropped the ball and didn't tell the union that this room could be emptied, so the union needs 24-hour notice. So nothing got done for one full 24-hour period, and then Rick Jones and everybody else got to work 36 hours straight.
Yeah.
Just this, it was ugly. And then the second day we did lose. Well, that was quite a storm that Las Vegas had. But we lost power in the Rio for 12 hours, and it was cut at about 7:30.
It was in the convention center.
Yeah,
the casino didn't miss a beat.
Well, they had generators. They were, but
No, table games didn't miss a beat.
But that was quite a storm. I think they said it was 71 miles an hour.
It was nasty.
And it were actually a couple of couches came off of the Voodoo Lounge patio and went through cars 53 stories down. There was a lawsuit waiting for a place to happen, wasn't it?
Yeah, well, I mean, luckily it was, I'm guessing there probably wasn't too many people rolling around outside in that weather, which is a good thing.
It was nasty. I've never seen anything. I mean, that was really, I don't think it was it wasn't just a storm. It was like a tropical storm or something like that. It was.
Really? In
Yeah.
Vegas?
I'm going to be a weather forecaster my next life. The wind blew.
We had a
and blew.
tsunami at the Nationals. Yeah, it was nasty. But I tell you what, one big shot I want to give out is to Rick and Bonnie Jones, the whole Bad Boys crew they had there. I was there when the place was dead empty, and I think they had 8 people? I think they had 8 people on their crew. 8 people loaded in, loaded out, and ran the entire tournament.
310 tables, the world's largest tournament ever.
Yeah.
Ever.
And
23 9-footers.
but 8 people, and I think 4 of them were women.
Yeah.
And they kicked ass.
Yeah.
I mean, just absolutely from beginning to end. So I was really impressed by what they did.
Yeah.
I tried to do a time lapse of the load in, but the way that worked there
You ran out of time.
Well, no, it was what was it? It was they had this giant grid that the lights, that they lowered the grid to hook the lights on, and I set the camera shooting right down that center grid, so it would be real dramatic when they raised it. You'd see the grid come up, and then all the tables come in. I was very artistic, right? Only thing is, the union took like 30 hours before they raised the grid.
Yeah, no.
And so it's like, geez, man, come on. And then they had loaded half the room in before they raised the grid.
Yeah.
So my big time lapse didn't work out.
Yeah.
But the working with people, you know what, man, I hate to keep harping on it.
Come down and watch.
But
yeah.
If people had any idea, just the general hassle of trying to do something in a big casino, because it's unbelievable, and the expense.
It was a challenge this year. We
How much
really,
pipe did you buy?
Yeah, I bought. Well, it's called black pipe. It's really gas line pipe for a house. It's 21-foot sticks. I bought 164 of them.
Just to hang lights.
Just to hang lights. And the reason I bought them is because I could buy them cheaper than they rent them to me for. So in theory, I could throw them away, and I'm ahead of the game.
Right.
So, who knows me? I don't know what I'm going to do with it. I got.
Anybody want to buy some pipe?
Yeah. But we had some meetings afterwards, and we're working out the bugs, and there were some.
Well, I love the Rio. I mean, it's from a guest standpoint or attendee or whatever. I mean, it's night and day to the Riv. I know the biggest thing that I heard was cost. That's the only thing people mentioned.
And no, just cost of food. It wasn't the cost of the rooms.
Yeah.
The rooms were pretty respectable, I think. for where you are and what you get, you know.
Right.
But the cost of the food, we're working on it. The problem is they're coming out of the World Series of Poker. They got everything jacked up so high. I mean, $5 Cokes in the hallways and everything else. And we had beer at $3.50, but we forgot to get the water and things like that. And they were at $4. That's just too high. We're going to try and beat those
Yeah.
down. But it was also a 20 ounce rather than a 12 ounce like the Riv has. But
Still $4.
yeah.
Like we talked about.
But the main thing is they heard what we said. It just didn't quite sink in. I say, we're busy. Our people, they're not poker players. They're a different breed. They longer hours and this and that. And they wouldn't understand our food consumption concepts. And they had a thing called a billiard cafe. And when they finally did put a special in that was, you know, a little cheaper and everything, it was gone at 4 o'clock. And they ran out. We basically ran them out of food because they were understaffed or underfooded, whatever you want to call it, because of the World Series of Poker. It's a learning process. It was a permanent move. We're going to be there approximately the same dates, July, mid to late July for the foreseeable future, you know, quite a few years. And it's a pretty cool facility. I mean, when you come down that hallway, we had all these beautiful signs of, you know, life-size posters of 40 or 50 players. And they weren't professional players. They were just players we had good pictures of. And it was hilarious because we had one lady that was very unhappy that she had to play this lady that is a pretty good player. She used to be a master, but she went 2 and out about 3 years in a row, so we downgraded her a notch. And this lady says, "This girl should have been a master. She was one of the pictures in the hallway." Like, ooh, which means nothing. It just means we had a picture of her.
One side was pros and one side was amateurs as you went down the hall.
Well, kind of. Which
No,
side
it
was I on?
You were at the end of the amateur row. But yeah, that was cool. The venue itself, I really enjoyed it.
How about those big screen TVs? You come down that hallway and you get to see it's like, you know, and then there's some pretty cool stuff. We're going to change things around next year. We're not going to bring anywhere near as many 9-foot tables. That's the plan. We had, like I say, we had 23 9-foot tables on site.
And you got to move those trick shot guys, man.
Yeah.
That was no bueno.
Yeah, no bueno.
Yeah, that was, you know.
Well, we tried a lot of new things. In fact, because of the shortage, time-wise, of moving in the facility, and then on top of that, 2 days later, the power outage, well, we had some technological things we didn't even attempt to hook up. We just said, screw it. We're just behind the 8 ball now. Let's not complicate it.
There's one other big thing I wanted to mention, too, that I put it out on Facebook. I need to put it out on AZ. But we did release you can buy the Shane instructional series now on DVD. It's all ready to go. John Bertone is the distributor.
That's Kamui,
for them.
Kamui Tips.
Yep. And you can buy those at writingthe9.com. I'll type up a web address and put it down there. And on YouTube, I'll put it in the YouTube description. But what it is it's all 4 segments. It's breaking, it's running out, aiming, and then there's about an hour-long interview there with on the mental game. It's hosted by Jennifer Beretta. Andrew Cleary and I did the project, and Jennifer came in and hosted and did an outstanding job.
Yep.
And of course, Shane did the material, and I think he did a good job. Our goal was to kind of show basically just how Shane does things, kind of a look at how he does it, not so much as an instructional thing, because to be honest with you, Shane is a phenomenal pool player. He's not an instructor, but for me, it was one of those things to where what we tried to do was just basically let you see how his mind works, what he's thinking about, and it's really pretty simple. I mean, I've had people come up to me and tell me they've gotten the people that have talked to me about it. Almost everybody gets something different out of it. You know, something will click, whether it's how he runs balls or their aiming system or his aiming system. But that's kind of what we were going for. And but those DVDs are available, and it's writingthe9.com. You get them for Bertone. They're $39.99 with I think it's $5.95 shipping and handling. Or it is available as well on our on-demand channel. You can download. You can watch them instantly if you want to do that.
That's still the Vimeo then, so they can do both.
Vimeo. And as well, Vimeo coming up. I'm going to try and get it up finished. I've been working on it. It's 8 discs long. is Tar 1
Tar
with
1.
Shane and
That's where I
Corey.
met you.
Yep. Shane.
Boo hiss! What a bad
No,
day
actually,
that
that's not
was.
where you met me. Where you met me was at your tournament in 2007.
I don't know. I don't remember that.
Yep, because I gave you guys some pictures.
And
Somebody,
I
think Bill
remember
Stock.
chasing you down. No, it was from the bar table. You were posting this.
Yeah,
this
that was
JCIM.
2000. That was 2007,
Yeah.
and was that May probably
Yeah.
back then? Was when you were
Well,
doing it in May?
Well, the bar table was the tournament was made, but the bar table
Right.
tournament was the February one, and that's when
And then
I didn't know who you were.
Right. Well, bet you wish that was still the case.
Yeah, could be.
But then you came up. It was September was when Corey and Shane played.
I drove the old motorhome all the way up there.
Lucky. Yeah, that was a really cool event. Sullivan was there.
Yeah.
Grady and Billy did the commentary.
Yeah, Buddy Hall was supposed to make it, couldn't. But yeah, I remember that. I remember specifically where, Grady was just basically saying, nobody in the world can play the speed
Yeah,
this
the
kid is playing. They
commentary
just
was,
could
you
not
know,
believe
they couldn't
it.
believe
Says,
it.
He'll
It
beat
was-
anybody in the world.
And that was, I tell people that's
That was the coming
before
out
Shane
party.
was Shane.
Yeah.
And that was our very first event. That was our first pay-per-view. That was a big deal for us. So
Yeah.
it's really, I'm looking forward to getting it up.
Yeah.
A lot of people have never seen it. So
Well, the line was that Shane wouldn't hit 80.
yeah.
You know,
And I think Nasty had made a bet. Somebody out there can correct me, I'm sure. I want to say it was Corey Wooden 80, or I think that's what it was. And he got some crazy odds, but and Shane beat him. I want to say it was 100 to 70. Was it 100,
it was
180?
68. No. I don't. It was 68 or 70.
I'll have to watch it to find out. I don't remember what it was.
It's-
But it was a
Wow.
2-day match. It was race to 50 each day,
Yeah.
and we had no idea what the hell we were doing. And we just picked a race to 100 completely out of our ass. And Corey was like, "Yeah, let's do it." And it was a legit action match. I mean, it was 10,000 on each side.
Plus
Corey
a lot
was
of side.
Corey was a big favorite.
Big.
And Shane just did that shit he does where he gets loose with that break, and that's the first time anybody really saw that.
Yeah.
And that's where he put his stamp on that format, and still going.
Mhm.
I mean, 5-6 years later, whatever it is. So
Well, the best line you understand was right towards the end. It was, and Corey wins like 4 or 5 games at the end. Or
yeah,
he would have
Corey
been in the
never gave
60s.
up. I mean,
yeah.
that's,
But he basically said, right at the end, he says, if this was a fight, they'd have stopped it. I mean,
yeah. But yeah,
Yeah.
Corey straight ran into a buzzsaw,
Yeah.
and I've always had a lot of respect for Corey ever since that
Yeah.
day, because
he didn't no whining, no crying, no nothing.
no,
man.
and he was a complete pro, and he, he didn't know us from Adam, didn't know. The way I got in contact with Corey was I called Sonny, and she had his number, and this was pre Shane, and this was pre Mark Sonny.
Yeah,
And,
that's true. Yeah.
So, and he, I think Nasty's the one who pitched him, and
Who was the guy that
Nasty's the guy who really put that together.
who backed Corey?
Oh man, I forget Ray is his name. I can't
there's-
remember his forum name. Damn, it's killing me.
Yeah,
He hasn't been around much.
yeah. He was a little
But,
volatile.
Yeah, no, he's a great dude.
No, he's a really nice guy.
No,
yeah.
you're thinking about McWhorter. No, McWhorter.
yeah,
didn't.
that's right. You're right. Yeah, I am.
Yeah, no, McWhorter might have bet on it, but
Yeah,
he didn't back
yeah,
him. No,
Yeah.
no, McWhorter was there.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that was right before the Q Olympics too, because we were talking about going to Q Olympics, and I was asking everybody, "You going to Q Olympics?" And I'm like, "Fuck, it's like 3 weeks long, bro. I'm not going to Q Olympics."
Yeah, it's all your
And they were told the truth. They didn't go.
fault. Yeah, they did. All of them. They all told the truth.
Yeah, every one of them was
Anyhow,
true to their word.
that one brings back a few memories.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. So that'll be up hopefully next week.
The other thing let's chit chat about, I think the buzz has certainly quieted down, but at our nationals was the unveiling of the Cyclop ball, and there's no S. It's not Cyclops.
I figured they'd
Cyclops.
be hanging you in effigy by the time that was over that. But most people I talked to didn't have a problem with it. A lot of people liked the way they played. Everyone generally hated the colors. But
Some of the colors. There's only a couple of them, but you'd be surprised. Last week we actually had 2 emails. I had one league operator, and I'm going to respond to him, out of Kentucky, saying, well, we had 9 teams there, and if you're going to use those balls in, 3 of them we know aren't coming back, and some others. And but they don't tell me why. If you have a problem with something we're doing, tell me what it is. You don't tell me it's the colors. It's not the quality of the ball. The quality of the ball is as good or better than the aramith.
Hey, Mark.
Yes.
Tuck your little earphone cable in there. You're sticking out, man.
Well,
Other side.
Yeah.
Other side. No, the other side.
Well, it's in.
The side that's in, yeah, but the cable's sticking dead out. There you go.
Oh, jeez.
God, you're terrible.
I am. Well, I had that one in because I lost the other one. Couldn't find it.
There you go.
Yeah,
That's good enough.
No, I'll do it like
All right.
this.
No more close-ups
Yeah,
for you.
no,
There we go.
there we go.
How's that?
That's almost.
All right. And we're playing with this TriCaster. This is the
I don't know what I'm doing.
put
here.
the so I'm still experimenting with the screen stuff. I think it's pretty cool. I'm terrible at pulling keys, which is why Mark looks a little jagged, but I'm working on that.
Mark is jagged. I'm going to tell you something. I just, that Rio just about did our crew in. I mean, the pressure and the inconsistencies and the hotel. I mean, they were trying, but they were just a little left-footed. They didn't quite understand what we wanted or what we're doing, and so. Well, you're right. That thing is. Oh, it's over here, isn't it? I'm looking at this thing. What the heck is that thing? There we go.
There you go, buddy.
But it was a pretty rough 10 days, and
Yeah,
that was one of the reasons I've just determined. I says I'm just not going to. I can't work this hard, and I'm only going to work with people that work with me.
Right.
And
that was the way I felt after that thing. Yep. I mean, there was so much. I don't know what it is. It was just like tension, or people just and it's like I was thinking to myself, I'm like, what the hell is the point? Nobody's getting rich.
No.
And if we can't all come here and enjoy ourselves, what the hell's the point?
And
why are we just kidding ourselves?
I got static on things like, you can't charge us late fees. I says, well, I have to charge you late fees. I says, yeah, but we're worth something there. We're the pros. We're going to be there. I says, you don't do me any good if you sign up 2 days before the event. And they reamed me out. There's 2 or 3 or 4 pros. One of them's extremely well known and has had a lot of things on Facebook or on AZ Billiards, chewing me out. Says, I can't believe that you didn't open your field and let the pros play. You know what? It's a 96-man field. It's full.
Yeah.
And and one of these guys says, well, just open it up. I says, I can't. Yes, you can. No, I can't. We're starting at 10 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
We're starting matches at 10 o'clock at night. We have 3 of.
Yeah, it goes back to the same thing that that nobody,
Come on in and do it, buddy. Yeah.
Nobody people. They either don't understand, and I think that's a lot of it. I don't think it's, I think a lot of it is ignorance and ego. And before somebody quotes me on that, and I start telling me I think all players are ignorant, that's not the case. When I say ignorance, I mean they just simply do not understand or do not know what goes into the tournament.
Yeah.
When you have a 96-man field going into that day, every round was planned out a month in advance. You knew that the round started at 10 a.m. on this day, and you did this, this, and this for 10 days for 3 tournaments,
And then,
all the way through. Everything was planned. And now if you open it up and you get 20 more players, you're screwed.
You're playing until 3 in the morning.
Yeah, exactly. And then what happens? People complain because you're playing until 3 in the morning.
And with the power, that power outage cost us 3 rounds on a Friday night.
That was brutal.
And I mean, you had fun because you weren't showing the matches you were even scheduled to show. Because
that was a nightmare because of the one pocket final. That was terrible. Yeah, that was a shitty day for me.
Yeah.
But I just want to say, 99.9% of the people, the customers, were very cool about it and very understanding and very patient. And I want to say thank you to everybody.
Yeah.
Because I know it's a pain in the ass to pay for something, and it doesn't show when you think it's going to show. But
anyhow,
but it was cool.
Getting back to the balls, the first initial thing, and of course I think what was part of the problem with starting with the balls was the amateurs started playing rotation. If they had started off playing 8-ball, I don't think it would have been as big a deal. But the colors did throw a couple of people off. But if anybody has any problems with anything we do, just please write me. But tell me what the problem is. Don't say, you can't do that. Well, tell me, well, okay.
An email, all it has in the subject line is, you suck, nothing else, nothing in the body. Those are pretty sweet.
But most people like the balls. There was a couple of people starting to talk about skidding. I personally don't believe 99%
Well,
of it.
I heard people say they skidded less.
Well, initially, everybody said they skidded less. Then you had, and Chris Bartram, I'm not outing him or anything, he was having a difficulty evidently, but I also heard he was playing on a table after one of the Filipinos that uses a lot of talc. Anything's possible. But it's just strange that only 1 or 2 people had all these skids and nobody else did. But one thing a lot of people don't realize is when we had this power outage, what caused the power outage, that it was in a lot of areas, but the Rio had a unique problem because a sign come blowing through and wrapped around one of the transformers and blew it. At the same time, it blew what is called a chiller, and I think they have 3 chillers, and they're for the different ballrooms in the convention area. But they lost one of them. So what they were doing is rotating 2 chillers among 3 rooms. I guess they can twist valves, and that's what causes the air conditioning. It's running, I guess, refrigerated water, I guess, or something. So the rooms weren't saying, they started.
Temperatures were fluctuating.
And humidity.
Yeah.
That pavilion one night got really humid because they were blowing cool air but not cold air.
Yeah.
And all those things changed it. And then with all this stuff going on, the balls didn't get cleaned like we normally want them to be and things like that. So a lot of factors. But we've sold a ton of those balls. We're using them. We have made a deal. People want to know why. The biggest reason is that Aramith is too difficult of a company to work with, from our viewpoint. Now I know there's been some ownership changes, but this is already in motion. Simonis now owns a big chunk of Aramith, and I'm quite confident that the Aramith will get to be an easier company to deal with. But we've written, sometimes you don't get answers for a year. You can't function.
Speaking
But,
of
you know,
the Nationals, I just wanted to touch on something that I thought was funny. Was I personally was, I just want to take credit for this. I was one of the highest backers of the Andrew Cleary experiment.
Oh.
I was in for a full 10%, and more than half stepping with that. And I'd just like to say that I thought it was an outstanding investment opportunity, and hopefully I get to do it again in the future, because our buddy caught some flack on the forum for something that was completely out of his control. Which is, he got completely shit-faced and missed his 10 a.m. match because it was delayed.
Because it was delayed because of the power outage,
Right, exactly. I was there with him the night before, and he was prepped. His mind was right. His outfit was tight. He was ready to roll.
The orange jumpsuit?
Yeah. And unfortunately, due to circumstances outside of his control, I told him he should have issued a press release just like Bonus Ball, I mean, because him cashing and them making it had about the same chance.
Yeah, that's true.
But
yeah, and poor old Cleary's getting a lot of static on a little post he put on Easy Billiards, which, on a side note,
yeah,
I don't think Cleary did anything wrong.
I think if Mike wanted those texts out, Mike's the guy who's supposed to post them.
But I think he told Cleary to post them.
I understand, but at the same time, Mike's got an account.
Yeah.
He's active.
Okay.
I think if he wants them out, he's supposed to post them.
I'm not going to disagree with
But
it. But by the same token, I don't think some people are blaming Cleary for blah blah blah. I just don't get. It comes right back down to, if you say
I
it, you better back it up.
I don't put any heat on Cleary.
Yeah.
I mean, I just think it's one of those things, and I don't have any problem with posting the texts.
Yeah.
I'm of the belief that you should be ready to own just about anything you put out there.
That's right. When you're a public figure, especially, if I say something, it doesn't mean anything. But if some of these people say something, they're
No, I mean, I think if you're sending text to someone saying screw you, blah blah blah, this or that, then
they were threats.
Well, that's fine. A lot of people were saying, oh, Johnny shouldn't be in that position to, and the way I look at it, at least in this game now, Johnny has no real power over who gets invited to what. I mean, I think he thinks he does, and he probably can put a bug in somebody's ear, but at the end of the day, the opportunities to even do that are so limited. Yeah. I mean, so to me, I don't have a problem with him saying, whatever he says. If he says, look, I'm never going to work with you, and I'm not ever going to be involved with you, he 100% has that right if that's the way he feels. I mean, so I don't have a problem with that. And I think if you asked Mike, I don't think Mike would be bothered by it, because I think Mike's attitude is, okay, fine, I'll do it myself anyway. Yeah. Which anyone who does anything in pool, you got to do it yourself. I mean, because there's no organization that you can count on, and
nope.
which is sad, but it is what it is.
Well, you know what the problem is now. It's not the problem isn't the game. Everybody keeps changing the game. The problem is not the game. The problem is the professional players. And I think you're going to find a move where a lot of these professional players are no longer going to be invited to events. And that's Mark Griffin.
I'm of the firm opinion, man, and I've said it.
Yeah.
I've said it since the beginning. Tournaments don't work.
Yeah.
And it's people, to me, professional events. To me, a professional is someone. It's not a skill level. It means that's how you make your living at something. It means someone is willing to pay you to do whatever it is you do, and that's how you make your living. It's not a skill level, because there's all kinds of unemployed professional people at all kinds of shit. Pick something. Yeah. But so to me, people. I guarantee if you went on AZ and asked people how many professional pool players do you think are in the United States, my opinion, and when I say just don't expand, just say how many professional pool players you think are in the United States. I think you'll get a list of 30, 40 people.
No way.
Yeah. Oh, no, I think if you just tell people, who do you consider a professional pool player?
But there's I'd be surprised if there's a...
I think there's might be 10.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'd be surprised.
That includes the Europeans living here.
Oh, I wouldn't count them.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
I
so
mean,
we're about the same number.
And when I say professional, I mean guys who draw money and who are a threat to win anything they enter and have proven that they can win. Yeah. Now, that's at the top of the game. And, people say, golfers make X, Y, Z. The top guys do. But you know what? There's thousands and thousands and thousands of them that don't.
Yeah.
And, everything is that way. The top 10%, the top 5%, maybe even top 2% of anything do pretty good. Everything under that, you're struggling. I mean, it's that way in every walk of life. Look at Major League Baseball. You see all these guys. NFL is even worse. But, all these guys, you see these $1 million contracts and all this shit. But for every one of those guys, there's 100 that make the minimum, which is still great money.
Still pretty good money.
Yeah, but at the same time, you're talking about a different kind of life. I mean,
you're blown out in 10 years.
Yeah.
And what's the average?
Well, the NFL, I think the average NFL
is 5 years.
No,
3
it's
years?
not even that. I want to say 2 or 3. Yeah.
Now baseball, it's quite.
And with NFL, they don't have to pay you what they say. They just cut you, and you're done.
Oh,
so it's not guaranteed money. Yeah. But
pools. I'm not even sure if it's a sport. That's always been an old debate. But I mean,
the money, it can be whatever you want it to be. But if you want to get paid for it, the money's got to come from somewhere, and that's from people watching you. Now, either people are going to pay to watch you, or a sponsor is going to give you money to put their logo on you, or to advertise on whatever you're playing in. So to me, basically, I said all this long rambling shit just to say that I think there is a future for pro pool in America, and I think it's going to be a future for about 10 guys. And if they're lucky, now here's the bright spot. If 16 at the outside. Somebody on AZ, I think it was Diamond 69, actually summed it up probably better than I can. And that is that, if you took all this, if you took the money that's available now and you condensed it and you put it to 16 guys, now all of a sudden 16 guys can probably make a living, and you can sell something, with the goal being in 2 years it's 24 guys. Mm-hmm. And you have people competing to get to this.
To those spots, yeah.
Right.
And I would agree with you. But also something that is professional is attitude. This sport, we don't need trash talking. We need people that are willing to be available and work with the public. We had the junior nationals there, and we only had about 15 or 16 in there of players and people, industry people actually get in there and support the juniors. All your high visibility players, your pros players, other than Shane, D. Shane, Hunter Lombardo, Jennifer Beretta, I know I'm missing a couple, Thorsten, I think, but all the ones you guys think of as pros, not one of them was there to help the pros, the kids. What's wrong with that picture?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I can understand. It's such a, things are so nasty right now that I can kind of understand. If a pro is played for 10 days, and say if you go loser side, you're playing 12 hours a day. You know, and if you don't, and then you can do all that and still not make any money and be out. You know, maybe I don't blame a guy for saying, you know what, I don't want to stick around here anymore.
Yeah. I
You
can
know.
too, but remember
I
we
don't,
had
I don't,
96.
I don't blame a guy who does that. I mean, I will praise and applaud the people that do stick around. You know, like the people you mentioned, and
Oh, Mika was there too.
yeah,
Mika.
and you know,
Mika and Shane did some great tutorials.
yeah, but
couple of
but I'm not going to slam a guy who chooses not to come out and do it. I don't think you should slam them. I think you should applaud the people who do it, and then
And I
just
would
leave
agree.
it at that.
I would agree. But and subtly encourage more people to get involved.
Yeah.
But you know, I mean, that's just one of the many things that we had going on. We had the Junior Nationals, we had the World Trick Shot thing. They had the U.S. Open 1 pocket, 10 ball, 8 ball, 30 some odd amateur events, USA Pool League National Championships. It was a pretty wild little gizmo, you know.
While we're at it, I want to pull up this thread because I started a thread and
Okay.
got some questions.
All right,
And,
I printed it out a little while ago, but
Well, I can't read that
Yeah.
from here.
I know. And I'm not going to tell you any Alaska stories other than
There we go.
it's really interesting. I'm saying we're trying to get some things done. And one guy was supposed to do something. He says, "Oh, he's in Alaska for a week." I says, "Oh, okay." Somebody else came in to see me. He says, "Where you been?" I says, "Well, I was in Alaska for a week." I says, "What's going on?" You know. And now Bill Stock and
Yeah,
Glenn
where'd
they're in
Bill go?
Alaska.
They're in Alaska for a
They're in
week.
Alaska for a week. I just okay.
This one's from B-Town, which I thought was a pretty funny question. Could we do this podcast in the bonus ball parking lot?
I thought that was funny. Yeah. Well, there's plenty of room. It's not crowded. You know, whatever. It's just I just you know what I hate is total waste. And I don't know if they spent $1 million or $2 million or $10 million. All I know is I had some discussions with Larry Shaborek when this whole building fiasco was going on. I says, "Man, you are getting jacked." "Oh no, everything's under control."
Nothing sets me off more than somebody looking at me and telling me I don't know what I'm talking about or I'm wrong.
Yeah.
And you know, if I am, that's fine.
Yeah.
Show me. I will listen. But if all you can tell me is that you're not smart enough to understand it,
Yeah.
oh man, that really pisses me off. And that's what they told the whole world. People ask question after question after question.
Well, that's not
you
our
know,
business plan. You
yeah,
don't know our business plan.
You don't understand. Yeah, okay.
Okay.
But you know, it's just, and then this whole thing with Barry Hearn, they just drug it out. And personally, I have an idea. You know, I think it was just something done just to put a little distance. You know, to kind of ease the fall.
No,
a little bit.
they're grabbing at straws and.
Well, that's what I
There's
mean.
just
I mean,
no-
instead of just, you know, if they would have just said at the end, then, yeah, I mean, but I think this whole, oh, it's not dead yet, I think it was just something to kind of, like I said, to ease the fall a little bit. And, you know, I don't think, but the kicker for me, the absolute cherry on top that explained the whole situation, you couldn't even make it up any better if you tried, was that picture of those checks.
Yeah.
I mean, you just, it's just how.
Yeah.
Oh, oh, God damn. I mean, how do you wrap your
Well-
head around that one?
Well, you know, they wanted to rent a booth from me. Now, typical fashion.
Yeah, okay.
I'm driving to the Rio Hotel to check in. This is Sunday. They called. Well, actually, I'm wrong. They called me Friday night at like 8 p.m. Saying we want to rent a booth, 2 booths and a pool table. I said, I don't even know if I have any.
Yeah.
You know, trucks are flying back and forth.
Yeah, you've been dealing with booths and vendors for the last 6 months.
Yeah, and they call, and I said, okay. So I said I'd call back on Sunday. We talked on Sunday as I'm driving down to check in the hotel. I was talking to Kim Spies, I think her name is.
Yeah.
Promised me that the checks were going out and everybody would have the money wired to their account between Monday and Tuesday. And I says, because I made a comment, I says, I can't have you there because I can't support anybody that's stiffing the players. You can't put me in that category. They'll all have the money wired. Yeah, I can see that happened. Sure, why not?
Well, yeah, during the whole thing, every day it was, anybody get paid, anybody get paid, get the money, on and on and on. Then it was checks on Friday. Oh, can't have the checks on Friday. We're going to put them out Monday. Which, forget about the fact that Monday people were leaving.
Yeah.
I mean,
I tell you.
and then the picture on Facebook.
Oh, that was pretty strong.
Oh, Ugh.
I mean, I feel sorry for the players in that, but I can't. You know something I can't understand? Somebody hustled the hustlers here.
Yeah, I mean,
You know,
I don't.
that's
You know what?
desperation.
Here's what I look.
you know.
If somebody comes up to you, and this is what goes back to what I said about people need to remember who did this,
That's correct.
and
You and I agree on something.
and what that is if somebody you trust comes to you and says it's good, it's good, it's good, it's good.
Yeah.
You know what? That's fine. If it ain't good, okay, fine. You don't got to hate them. Just remember the next time they come to you with another fairy tale.
Yeah.
I mean, and
And we're not picking on anybody. It's just you got to man up when you do these things. This is part of responsibility. This is part of being a leader. Maybe
and not one person that I know of, I mean, really came out and said, look, I don't know how the hell they're supposed to make the money. Now I'm talking about principles of bonus ball. I don't know how the hell they're supposed to make the money. They've put up some and blah, blah, blah. It was all, oh, no, we're funded for 2 seasons.
Yeah.
The investors are loving it. Blah, blah, blah.
Yeah. What do you call
the guy spent $1 million on a studio. You think he doesn't have the money for the season?
Yeah.
It's just that whole thing.
Well,
it's sick.
Yeah. It is because it jacked the whole industry around. And look what it did to, and I'm going to get off of it, but they drug us out for 4, 5, 6 months because they kept changing their dates, so they cost us 6. We didn't do an event. Lenny couldn't, or Cantrell couldn't do an event, and everybody danced around their schedule, and then they told the world to stick it. So, yeah, there's a whole bunch of people that I'm going to be remembering, and they won't be doing business with Mark Griffin or CSI.
Yeah,
and
that's
if
the
you
way I
know
look
who
at
you
it.
are, then you know who you are.
Yeah.
If you don't know who you are, and you're not sure if it's you, call me, and I will tell you.
Well, I mean, it's like I said,
I'm done.
this thing at Nationals, that's the exact point I took, was that
This is the opening of a new dawn. Dawn of a new
things-
era. I don't know what you want to call it, but
people have said,
Yeah.
nothing's changed, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, it has. It's not just you, and it's not just me. It's other people in the game, that I can't speak for, but I know it changed the way they think about some people and some of the things they're doing.
Yeah.
It's just this thing's hard enough and ungrateful enough, like for sometimes, but it's hard enough. But then the shit that went down through this whole last couple of months, it just makes you look up, makes you realize, you know what?
It's inexcusable.
I'm just not doing this anymore.
No,
I
and
mean,
and I agree, and it seems like, there's some really good people on AZ Billiards, and some people that just check a little history before you spout off some of this stuff, and check some things out. Nobody hates anybody or hates the game or this or that. We all try to act as responsible adults, but some of the people that are posting some of this stuff, where are they coming from?
yeah, but you can't. That's
Holy
the internet,
mackerel.
man. That's the internet. That's you can't take that shit serious. I mean, sometimes I go off and it pisses me off.
Then what they ought to do
But-
is, if they want to make a gold member, you can't be a gold member unless you put your own damn name up there.
Yeah,
This
dude, just
traveling
do what I did.
incognito and
I
you
didn't.
swore
I
it off
didn't.
for a couple weeks.
I didn't read AZ for like 2 weeks. It was amazing.
I know you came in the office. I said, "Did you see such and such?" I said, "What are you talking about?" Okay?
But I mean, it's that. That's not just AZ. I've seen that all over.
I don't-
on
yeah, I'm
different
not-
forums.
I'm not
But
much
it's
of a-
easy to get wrapped up in that stuff, man.
Yeah.
And a lot of it is just the fact that when you do what we do, when it's how you make your living and you're involved in it,
Yeah.
it's a completely different perspective. And the other thing I've noticed for myself is I went back and looked at stuff and realized, I was out of line. I was wrong because I am too close to some things, and I do take shit personal that I probably shouldn't.
Yeah, I think we all do.
But
Yeah.
it's
Let's get off of that stuff. Let's talk about the straight pool tournament. There's a lot of things going on in New York. Dragon Promotions is doing the World Tournament. In my mind, I think it's the 6th World Tournament. It's not the 73rd World
hey man,
Tournament.
that's a world championship. You
It
better
is
recognize.
not.
That's a world championship, buddy.
Mike Howerton got his nose opened on. And I think it's funny because I got into
World
this
championship.
2 years ago. I went round and round with about 10 people on AZ Billiards, and I mean they just won't listen. But it is not a world championship. And Dennis Walsh, I actually got a chance to talk to him at 2 and I get it fine and
Oh,
everything.
this is funny.
But
I just
he
got
keeps
no.
saying
Hold
no.
up. I just got a text from Johnny Archer saying, "Go ahead, say my name in your podcast. It's okay." Johnny, I'm not scared to say your name, buddy. I mean, I'll say anything to you face to face. What have I got to hide?
No.
You know?
Well, and also by same token, Johnny knows my phone number. He can call it anytime. He did send me one text on this thing, on the DeShane thing. It wasn't worth repeating, so it wasn't very long. There was nothing wrong with it. It was one word. So
Yeah. No, I mean, the way I look at it is, you know, I'm done with the feuds and the fights and shit.
Me too.
You know, I mean, you can have. I don't care if Johnny don't like me. I don't care if anybody don't like me. That's fine. You know,
All I know
if I
is-
got to get out of this industry, just so I don't have to deal with this bullshit anymore, I don't have a
fine,
problem
too.
with that
Yeah.
either. You know.
Well, people don't understand. I figured out we probably spent $90,000 doing that pro event, and 2% of the people appreciate it. I'm just not going to do it anymore. I mean, it's not going to be
wouldn't.
anywhere near this format.
No.
I'm tired, and it's back to. I cautioned people 100 times. You guys don't understand what you're messing with. We're not human punching bags here. We do this for the love of the game, and if you take the fun and the love out, it's changing. And yes, folks, it has changed. So take it for what it's worth. There's been a couple threads on it. I mean, I talked to some people during our tournament and said, yep, pro events are going to change a little bit. If you don't like it, go start your own. It's
Yeah.
real simple. I know where you can get some tables. We'll even give you the tables. We don't, I mean, and Johnny and I get along on other topics. He needed a table. He and Florian were doing a shoot for an advertisement thing, and Mark Estes out of our office made the table available for him. And I said, yeah, it's just that, you know, it is what it is. Getting back to the straight pool tournament, though, there's a straight pool tournament at Steinway Billiards, and I guess after they're doing that, they do a pro 9-ball or 10-ball tournament, and then they do the Steinway Classic, which is the one we sponsored Mike DeShane in. And although even the straight pool is,
I just got a text from Andrew Cleary saying, "Please don't say his name." So
Andrew,
no,
I wouldn't speak your name for nothing.
He will be the man who shall not be named from
Yeah,
here on
yeah.
here on out.
The anonymous fat guy.
If anybody else wants to send me a text looking for a shout out, go ahead. I'll hook you
Yeah.
up.
Okay. But the Steinway Classic is it's an ABP $7,000 added, and it has something. It's somehow related to the Predator
You need
Tour.
some help, man.
This thing is just killing me.
It's
so,
because
know,
you got it hanging. The weight's hanging off the side. Put it on your back.
Where's the weight?
That other earphone. God, you're terrible, bro. There you
So,
go.
but you know what? Now I got both ears plugged up. Holy mackerel!
The only person you're listening to is me with a microphone.
It's distracting, and nobody's watching me. They're all listening to you. So.
Terrible, man. Terrible.
This is a comedy show. It's not supposed to be taken serious. I'm glad to see some events happening. I don't know how people can expect to travel across the country and play in a $7,000 added tournament, but that's also probably the end result of some of the, the status of the professional player organizations, whatever.
I don't know, man. Like I said,
I don't care either at this
anymore. I'm, okay.
Yeah.
I'm gonna do what I can do, and
Well, see,
if I can make enough money and make a living at this game to keep going, and the players, I can keep paying the players enough to where they want to keep playing with us, good. If not,
Yeah.
I was able to make a pretty good living before this. I can go out and do something else. So.
Yeah. Well, TAR is an interesting format. I mean, we've had, we got TAR 36 coming up, which we might as well pump that a little bit. It's Jason Shaw and Mike DeShane, and it's on September 27th, 8th, and 9th, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. What are you laughing about?
K-Town D just sent me a shout out too. He's what's up, man? We need more K-Town D around this place, man. I haven't seen him in a couple years. We usually make bad bets together at the Derby, and we haven't done that in a couple years. We got to hook up in January, D. But that was funny. I was talking this about somebody the other night. Like when we started this 3 or 4 years ago, I mean, from the time we started it till maybe only a couple years ago, it was fun. I enjoyed this shit. Like I looked forward to going to like tournaments and all this stuff, and got really jazzed about events and things like that. But lately, and maybe it's just what happens when you're in something for a while. You just get a little
Becomes
burned out.
work. Yeah. Becomes
But
work.
it's like, I was dreading nationals, man, because I knew what it would be as far as, and it was worse than I thought it would be. I'm talking about work-wise and otherwise. And I never would have made it through without the crew I had, which was Andy Chin and Tim Wampler. I mean, those two guys nailed it. I mean, it wouldn't have happened. I mean, and so those two guys are awesome.
Well, how many hours were they actually filming? I'm guessing 80.
10. Well, they would generally. There was a couple
Yep.
days between tournaments where I think it started at 2, 1, something like that.
Yeah, maybe.
There was a late round, but generally it was like 10 to 8, and then a couple days we did the 10 o'clock round. So it was
80 to 100 hours.
at least 10 to 12 hours a day.
The reason I asked.
That doesn't count the fact that, you're there 2 days early setting up.
Yeah.
You tear down after it's over. And these guys themselves, I mean, we paid them, but if I had to go, like for Andy example, Andy's a legitimate pro at what he does.
He's doing real live stuff now.
I mean, he works features. He's based out of L.A. I mean, he's a legit pro. I could no way could we ever pay his real day rate. He helps us. We pay him, but it ain't nowhere near what he's worth.
He likes pool and everything else.
And but that's the thing is, so I don't know, man. It's going back to what I started out talking about when it was fun. It's not fun anymore. A lot of it isn't, and this nationals thing just made me realize that, because I was always just angry or pissed about something, or and I got into it with a couple of guys during the event, and I thought about it afterwards, and I was like, you know what, this isn't worth it. I mean, it doesn't pay good enough to not enjoy what you're doing.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to change the way I look at things and the way I do things, and if it works, it works.
Yeah. The reason I asked how many hours is because I asked both of them, because we were talking about the ball skidding and everything, and they said they actually saw one skid on the TV table. So,
Yeah, but I got to tell you, man, after you're there watching that much pool, it's easy to miss something.
Well, sure, but it's not like. But I remember one time when it was Raj playing on this table here, and every other ball, but he was using a lot of chalk, a lot of talcum powder. It was humid, and I also think there's such a thing as a skid stroke. If you don't hit the ball good, if you're punking it out, it's going to transfer. That ball's not rolling. It's not going to cut the ball good. So skid is an amazing. You can have a lot of arguments about what causes that. So
yeah.
But neither nor whatever.
I just wanted to say that this address we've had up the whole time, that's where you can get the Shane instructional.
Okay.
And please go there and buy it because we've got a Cleary and.
Well,
we got to pay for his training for next year. It's.
Well, I want to know when Fat Tony's coming back.
Well, that's kind of another thing when we were talking about how many real pros are there, and that's the perfect example. Cleary played in the same tournament as the best players in the world. Now, to me, that ain't a professional tournament.
No,
it's a tournament with professionals in it, but it's not a professional tournament.
You're right.
And. So to me, that's one of the biggest problems is you have to have some measurable bar to entry that whether either you've got to finish so many points or something. Until there is that bar of entry, as long as it's – and I know why it is the way it is because everybody needs the dead money to make the tournament happen. But until there is that bar to entry, nothing can change because –
But that's also one of the beauties of the game. You get to play the Efrons of the world in a $100 pool tournament.
That's fine. I don't think that I'm not saying that they should all go away. I think there's a place for them.
Yeah.
But if you're trying to build a pro game, then it has to be more along the lines of what Matchroom does, what we do. AccuStats is doing good things with their Make It Happen events. I think those are awesome. And because then, it rewards the guys who are the best. Because if you're not the best, you don't get those opportunities.
Yeah.
But if you do work and get to that level, you get opportunities that other people don't. that can't just by signing up.
Mm-hmm.
Because in pool, there's probably 100 guys in the United States at least that could beat anybody on any given day.
Any given day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, if you're a professional player and you're going out here and you're traveling and you're doing all this stuff, and a guy who lives an hour away that plays lights out, okay, let's just pull it out of the hat. There's a big pro tournament in Florida. You go down and you draw Donnie Mills, who drove over from 45 minutes away. You know, there's legit. I mean, it's a real good chance Donnie might put you out. You know.
Oh yeah.
And,
He's a hell of a player.
And so,
yeah,
that's a lot to fade. But
Mhm.
my view of what should be the future is, if you go somewhere, you know, you don't have to fade that. You don't have to sweat that, because it's only people that have reached that level that are invested to a certain extent.
The whole
you know,
the
to
whole
do that.
format has to change.
I got more text, man. I'm going to see
Okay.
who we got shout outs from.
because I got something I want to get into.
I'm waiting to hear. Hey, there we go. Freddie, the corner man.
Oh, Fred Agner.
Yeah.
Look at this.
St. Pete Beach, paradise.
Yeah.
Hoping we see Freddie. That's another big thing we didn't touch on, because you know you're too busy pissing people off. Was Hall of Fame announcements came out, and
yeah.
2 new inductees in the player category. It's Jeanette Lee,
Right.
well deserved.
Yep. She's done a lot for the game.
Yep, and I voted for her. Did you vote for her?
As a matter of fact, I did.
See, there you go. And the other one is another one I think is extremely well deserved.
Yeah.
And I think the timing's perfect.
Yes.
As Mr. Barry Hearn, Matchroom Productions. Barry's going in it's meritorious service.
Yes.
I believe is
On the 20th anniversary of the Moscone Cup.
in Vegas.
And it's going to be all done in Vegas at the Mirage this
Yep.
year.
December 2nd is the
Is that okay?
Hall of Fame dinner. Tickets are available. You can, if you're going to be in Vegas for the Cup or whatever, if you live in Vegas and you want to go to the dinner, they're cool. I've been to one. I was at the one where Ralph got inducted at the U.S. Open, but they're pretty cool. And so I think it's $90 or $95 for a ticket. You can buy a table, but those ads should be out soon.
Okay.
But I'm looking forward to that. I think it's going to be. I think that week is going to be awesome. And I've been talking to somebody. I'm trying to put something together before the Cup for TAR.
Okay.
Something really cool. And
Me and Barry Hearn.
yeah, that's fun. I guess.
I'll bet the old guy wins.
I guess. These might bury you with money.
Well,
But
yeah.
I think we're going to try and do something cool. I've been talking to JP Parmenter about it, and I hope I'm pronouncing JP's last name. And I was lucky. I got to spend a lot of time with JP during the Nationals this year. He was there shooting, and he's 2 stories about JP. One is that one of the first things I ever went to shoot photography for was Charlie Williams' World 10-Ball Championship that Shane won, which is funny. Me and Acker actually put Shane in that tournament. And then you sponsored him
Yeah, I know.
in May.
Yeah.
So after you
I
sponsored him.
queered your action. Didn't
Yes,
even
you
know
did.
it.
After you sponsored him, Shane came to me and he said, "Would you guys be mad if I bought myself because Mark put me in for he sponsored me now with CSI?" So we're like, "Yeah, no problem, man." So he gave us the 500 or whatever it was to get in, and then he goes and snaps off the tournament for like 12,000 or something. But so anyway, that's where I met JP for the first time, and he was there shooting for I want to say Predator and some other people, but I was still new. I didn't really know much of anything, just enough to get myself in trouble with a camera. But for a couple of days, I mean, just of his own free will and because he's such a good guy, he sat and we were both shooting Nikon gear. He sat and showed me all kinds of shit. I mean, it's stuff people pay good money to go learn in schools and from instructors and teachers and things. And he just gave his experience and his knowledge freely because I was there. We were both shooting. And so that's how I met him. And so I'll always remember that. But the other thing is, he's one of the guys that when he talks, I pay a lot of attention to what he says because he's a smart guy and he knows a lot of people and has real good insight into a lot of things. But I said all that about JP to say that he's the guy that I'm talking to and bouncing stuff off of. We're going to try, and he's got a lot of connections I don't have. So in Europe and things like that. But we're going to try and put something together
Good.
for hopefully December.
I want to touch on one thing. Joe Tucker is my partner in the ABC League, the American Billiard Club League, and they're just wrapping up the first session. A session's only 7 weeks long because it's 8 players in different locations. And I'm sorry, Joe, I had your thing printed out and I don't know what I did with it. But anybody that's interested in playing in the ABC League, because the second session will be starting, they're having the first nationals right before the U.S. Open, I believe, U.S. Open 9-ball. And we had 10 rooms involved, which is 80 players. I believe the finals, the nationals playoffs, going to be either 12 or 16 players. And I think it's 16 players, and they're playing for $12,000. And their entries and their transportation and everything's paid. I know I'm wrong because the minimal amount you get is $1,000.
How many rooms did you end up with
We
total?
ended up with 10 rooms that fulfilled the requirements and everything like that. We have quite a few more that are wanting to start the second session. Joe's actually going to Houston, and he's trying to get some rooms down there. Actually, I think it's Dallas. Don Owens from OBQs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
He's going down there for a week, and we have some people trying to get some rooms started in Arizona, in California. It doesn't make any difference where the rooms are because you just have to have a cluster of either 3 or 4 rooms within driving range of each other, because you get to compete and you can go to the top level, and you're playing in your home room basically, and without huge expense. It's JT Tenball, all words, JTTENBALL.com.
What's that address for?
That's how to get in touch with Joe Tucker, or just get in touch with me and I'll get you. I should have all that written down. I've got spacey, but I still think it's a huge deal for pool. Has the opportunity to get pool players going back in the room. It's all on 9-foot tables. A room doesn't have to have a lot of pool tables. There's only 8 players. It would be nice if they had more than 2 tables, but you can do it on 2 tables. You could, in theory, do it on 1 table because everything's scheduled. It's 8 players. It's a round-robin format. Lasts 7 weeks. You're done. And it's $25 a week. We're playing with the game with the idea of having a $25 a week for the professional players and $20 or $15 a week for the weaker players that are just using it as a learning tool. And the game is American rotation. It's full rack rotation, and it has a scoring benefit. Each rack gets 20 points. Every ball is worth 1 point. The last 5 balls, 11 through 15, are worth 2 points. So you can play to 100 points. It's a handicapable. It's everything. But this is a scratch league, so it's really built for the guy that wants to see how he holds up against the best players in his area, and then you can go to the regions. Then you go to the nationals.
You done with your commercial?
I am done with my commercial.
Okay. I wanted to answer a question about a bunch of people in that thread kind of asked the same thing. Two-parter. One, undercard matches. I wouldn't have a problem with it.
Yeah.
2 big problems. I mean, 2 hurdles, challenges, I should say. One is expense. It comes down to the question of, by doing whatever an undercard match would cost to do, will it at least make that back, or ideally the whole point of doing it being to increase so you make more than what it costs?
That's tough.
I don't think so. Number 2 would be, even if we could break even on it, when would you do it? Because as it sits, Thursday nights we do a podcast. It wouldn't really do us any good to do an undercard match the day before, because that does nothing.
It's not an undercard.
It's got to be the same day. The other thing being, because we're on the West Coast and because we're playing 4 or 5 hour sets, we start at 5 p.m. on the West Coast, which is 8 o'clock. Sometimes we start at 4. But so we're starting at 4 or 5 p.m. local time, which is 7 or 8 o'clock on the East Coast. So if we were to do an undercard match, that would mean we would have to start probably around 1 p.m. Here. And that would be 5 p.m. or I'm sorry, 4 p.m.
Yeah, 4 p.m.
East Coast. So again, how many people are going to even have the opportunity
Yeah.
to watch it if you wanted to?
It's one of those,
And will it be enough that you could lead in? People would tune in to watch the free, and then I just don't think, based on my experience and how things we've done in the past, like we gave away pay-per-views to any pool room that wanted them, zero effect on buys the next time, zero, and we gave away 70 plus, and as far as I could tell, I didn't go too deep into it, but when I started looking,
which is amazing because the ones I talked to, they say, "Oh no, we had people staying here till midnight drinking and and it's not like
sure,
you
yeah,
know,
I mean, don't get me wrong, I had lots of emails for the next one
Yeah.
saying, "Hey, can I get it free again?"
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Yeah. No,
I mean, I had lots of those, but it was kind of like that wasn't the point.
No.
The point was
well, they got to be making 10 to 1
yeah,
off of it. I mean, it's only costing them like $35 or
35
something.
bucks. Yeah.
And if they had, and it lasts 3 nights, and if they had 2 people buying a beer an hour,
Yeah.
if they're so far
But
ahead,
I'm not jumping
Those-
on pool rooms. We have a lot of pool rooms
Yeah.
that do support us, and have for a long, long time. They buy everything we do, and I appreciate that. It was just it was a lot of places I've never seen before, and just didn't really see them after. So, but so anyway, back to the undercard matches. I wouldn't have a problem with it. I just logistically, as far as timeline, how does it work, and then financially, even if like the way I was thinking about it a lot after reading a couple people talk about it, and
It's always a common topic.
how do you
make it work? Yeah.
I mean, if you put up, I know if we put up $1,000, it's not going to make $1,000. In my opinion, I think that's a way long shot. So if you're not going to put up 1,000, say you put up 500, are 2 guys going to fly out here to play for $500?
No.
For a
No.
race to 15 or 11 or something?
No.
So it's. I think it's a cool idea.
It's exactly what I say. It sounds good on
Yeah.
paper. It may not work. It's not boxing or MMA or something because I mean those things last. I mean if Tyson was still around, 12 seconds.
Sure.
So it's
Yeah,
just a different. It's a different model.
I mean, I'm open to suggestions. I'm open to anything's cool, but it's just I don't know. I don't know. I don't think it will work. But the other thing was asking about some younger players, and again,
When the only time when they were all living here, we could have done something. Now they're all gone again.
Sure.
It's 'cause, but it was just too many issues.
I would love to get some guys like Justin. I wouldn't consider Justin Hall really a younger player anymore. I mean, I think he's reached a level to where, he's knocking on the door of the top guys. But
There's a lot of good players out. Justin Bergman, Jesse Ingles.
Bergman's back, which is good. Jesse.
Yeah, Jesse Bergman plays pretty good.
But a lot, it goes back to the fact that I think a lot of those guys would don't have the following yet to pay what it costs. I mean, we're not in a position where we can take a gamble and lose 5,000 on something, and so it's
tough at times.
Yeah.
I'll tell
And
you
the
what,
other thing too is there's so much more streaming out there now, getting to be more and more pay-per-view,
cluttery.
and so you're fighting. I've always said this that people can only spend so much in a month, time and money, on watching pool on a computer, and you've really got to kind of pick your spots with what you offer and when you offer it, in my opinion, to have any shot, because you don't want to burn the people out, and so it's it's a touchy situation. A lot of things got to work out right for us to come up with a match, and
Well, I know the next match
so-
I want. I think I mentioned it one time. You kind of poo-pooed it, but I actually would like to see on a bar table Hennessy and Shane.
I'm
Pinniger,
afraid.
Hennessy.
I'm afraid of Hennessy. I don't know how bad he's hurt. Did you see he was in a motorcycle accident? He was stove
No.
up pretty good. Yeah.
I don't do Facebook much, but he was talking about his next match is at such and such a time. He went to Olathe or something.
No,
I thought.
they posted a picture of himself in the hospital,
Oh
and
no, I didn't.
D might know, K-Town might know. I don't know.
I did not know that.
Yeah, no.
Because he was starting to play pretty confident. At our nationals, said he thinks he's the best bar table player in the country or in the world. I said, well, that sounds like a challenge to me. So I know he plays good. Wow, man, I hope it's not too serious. It must be if he's in the hospital. But
Yeah, I don't.
wow, no, I didn't know that.
No, but he said he was going to be in the hospital for a couple weeks. If you're in the hospital for a couple weeks, that's major.
I'll tell you, those motorcycles, they're great, but man, the price is a little steep sometimes.
Yeah, and you can do everything right and still get hurt.
And still be wrong. Yeah.
But
Well,
so I wouldn't mind. One thing I really like about Hennessy's game is he'll fight. I mean, I like his attitude when it comes to that, and he had a rep for a long time as being real tough to play, and some guys say they won't play him.
Yeah.
But he's.
I think that's a little bit behind, but
I think so
yeah.
too. I think
Although,
he grew out of it a little bit.
Yeah,
But
so.
yeah, especially on a bar table, he's a good, solid player.
Yeah.
I would like to see. I think a bar table 8-ball thing. We haven't done it in a long time. I think the last time we did bar table 8-ball was Darren and Scott Frost.
At the Riviera.
Yeah. Maybe a bar table all around would be cool.
Well, Cantrell just did the.
Oh, that's right. He did it with us, Shane and Earl.
Shane and Earl, but
Yeah.
I didn't watch it. It was a Valley bar table, I think, which is there's a lot of difference between a Valley and a Diamond.
But there's all kinds of stuff. Sure. It's just a matter of. I'll tell you what I want. Bad.
Way.
I want Ephraim back.
Yeah.
I want Ephraim back. That's what I want. I want to see Ephraim and Alex, Ephraim and Shane play one pocket.
Wow.
One of the two. Play along. Or even like what Ephraim was talking about before he left last time. And Ephraim's all around. He said he asked Shane if he would play him rotation, 9-ball, one pocket.
Wow.
So.
See, 9-ball favors Ephraim. I mean, more than 10-ball.
More than 10-ball.
Yeah.
I think.
I mean, yeah. So, yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I hope I'd do a match with Ephraim every week if I could.
Yeah, I tell you, there's only one Ephraim.
Yeah.
And
I was
only
super,
ever be one Ephraim.
You know, I've been around him at tournaments and stuff for years, and he's always friendly. But when he was here for that match with Shane, and especially during the podcast, but just the whole time he was here, I'm not one that's really idols or hero worship or any of that kind of shit. I mean, I've been fortunate enough to, outside of pool, meet a lot of people, famous people or people I look up to from other things and skill-wise and things like that. And I learned a long time ago it's not a good idea to, invest yourself too much and meeting somebody face-to-face. But Ephraim was a true joy. I mean, he was just such a good dude, I mean, just nice guy, happy, and what's amazing is, here's a guy who, in my opinion, is the best to ever do what he does, ever.
Yes, I agree.
And he lost. And it would be real easy for a guy like that to just, throw his shit and walk out the door. And, and I've had people, sometimes when people lose, they blame me. Because I'm the one who, invited them to come play. That's happened. Ephraim, calm, chill, said thanks, and was, said, maybe we can do it again, but sat down and it was so nice, man, because there was no tension, but he played hard. You could tell he wanted to win. I mean,
and now let's go back, and you and I have had this discussion. When it comes to the pro players, it's not the pro players, it's the American pro players that cause the problems. You never have beefs with the Filipinos, or almost never with the Europeans. It's just,
Well, I mean,
it's an attitude thing. It is. And you just talked over it again. Here you got the world's best player, and you don't get beefs with these guys.
Yeah, that's I don't.
Yeah. Well,
I mean, it's I don't know. There's I tell you one thing. I mean, of the times I've had problems and of the people that to say to myself, I never want to even work with this guy again. That changes a lot, you know. I mean, and that's one of the other things too that you know, people ever since, especially since we changed this format, they're like, oh, they don't care, they're getting paid. I'll tell you what, we did action matches for maybe 3 years. Never once did I ever hear a guy threaten to fight another guy. Since we started paying them both, there's been 3. One that was really close.
Yeah.
I mean, real close.
That's Schmitty and Corey.
Yeah.
And
no, it wasn't Schmitty and
Oh.
Corey. I really think Dennis Hatch was
and
about
DeShane, yeah.
6 inches away from ripping Shane's head off. He was
That's
fired up.
That's a big job.
He was fired up, man. He was Hatch was hot. But
I
you know,
agree.
and you know, and Schmitty and Corey went at each other hard, and it was just. So I understand the pressure. I mean, and that's why I try to give the benefit of the doubt, because that's a brutal way to make a living, man. Is to get out there and to focus that hard, and to do that, and to be under that pressure. It's tough, but at the same time, you have to kind of look and say, Bustamante does it, Efren does it, you know, Appleton does it, so it's doable without kind of losing your shit. You know, even Shane he's kind of calmed down now.
Yeah, he went through a little stage. He was slapping sticks a little bit.
He went through a
stuff.
spurt where he was just, and he's a friend. I mean, he's a person. I've known him for a while, and I consider him a friend, a good friend. So you know, I felt like I could, and I did. You know, I told him, I talked to him, and I was like, it's no good, man. This is not good for you. It's not good for what you're trying to do. And I don't think he listened to me, but it seems like he has kind of changed a little bit. Yeah. And you know, who knows what people are going through. And you know, if a guy's in a bad spot in his life, and then he comes here and he tries to do this, and all eyes are on him, you know, and something doesn't go well, it's easy for a guy to lose his shit. And I think a lot of that, you know, but at the end of the day, you're right, you know, everybody's responsible for their own actions, and excuses are like assholes. At the end of the day, it's how you conduct yourself.
Yep. You know, it's getting late, son.
Yep.
You were very full of wisdom. See what happens when you don't talk for about a month and a half?
Yep. All right. Mike DeShane's in the chat. He said he definitely thought he was getting hit. That was you know, I thought that was bad, and then the Schmitty and Corey one is what really put me over the edge.
Yeah.
That had me, and
They were actually rooming together.
yeah.
And they wouldn't even go home.
And what sucks was I love Schmitty. I like Schmidt. I really like John.
He's a funny guy.
Yeah, I really like him. But man, he pushed my buttons that week, and we didn't talk for a while. And then I went up to him at Nationals and gave him a big hug and said, "Come on, man, let's be buddies." And, but you know, that's another two I would like to have back, John and Corey.
I
mean,
like
doing
watching
different
Corey.
things.
Corey's just got
Corey's
so
awesome to watch,
imagination.
man.
You never know what he's going to do. He's like a mini Efren, you know?
Yep.
Yeah. All right, well, listen, this was the 42nd podcast. We're wrapping it up. TAR 36 is September 27th through 29th. Jason Shaw versus...
27th through 29th.
What did I say?
I thought you said 26th.
No, 27th.
Oh, 27th, 29th.
Okay. 2 out of 3 races to 27, 10 ball.
Yep.
Southwest Regional, that's the CSI event, starts next Thursday. It's a week from tonight, and it's at Fort McDowell. And there's information on our website, playcsipool.com or playbca.com, or call our office, whatever.
And don't forget ridingthe9.com. That's
Yep.
where you get your Shane instructional DVD. So everybody who said, I want it, but it's got to be on DVD, it's on DVD. And it's a damn good-looking DVD, too. The packaging is tight. It's just a final shout to Cleary. I mean, he pisses people off at the cyclic rate, and, you know,
but
he's... you know, I'm not fond of fat guys myself, but, you know, I got a soft spot in my heart for a little guy. But say what you will about him, the guy does top shelf work.
He does. He just
And,
he'd do a better job if he spent more time. So he's got to stay off of AZ Billiards. I'm telling you, man. You
But
know,
check out the DVD. It's legit. It's
stay
good
out of the
stuff.
pool too. Next time when you go swimming in Vegas, take your clothes off. Never mind. Don't. I'm sorry.
Actually, we need to see that. Did that ever get posted?
I saw it somewhere. Yeah.
We need. There's
on
videotape of Cleary after he lost his second match. He walked out the door and just jumped right into the pool.
Yeah.
Fully clothed.
Yeah. Just.
So, anyway.
All right. No, listen. I appreciate everybody. I appreciate, like Justin says, I need my input, my feedback. Give me my feedback.
I don't. Don't send me shit.
Now, give it. I'll take it all, even the bad stuff.
Yeah.
And I disagree with people. I understand that, and it's supposed to be what's best for pool. And I will say that there's been some damage done. My outlook has changed, and it'll probably change again. But things are going to change a little bit.
No, that's where I'm at. I'm not. I'm done. I'm done fighting and arguing.
Me
You
too.
know, life's too short. So
Yeah, especially when
if
you're
we can't
my-
if we can't have fun at this, then
Yeah.
you know, might as well go get a real job.
Okay.
So, all right, we'll see you probably next week. Yeah, maybe.
No, I won't be here. No, I will be.
Even good. Then we'll definitely see you next
There
week.
we go. Yeah.
All right, take it easy, guys.
Thank you very much. Have a good night.